it's personal to me because it reminded me of my old mindset before Christ and a lot of old friends and a lot of experiences that I had and all this stuff. But this week, how many of you have heard of the band Soundgarden? Yeah, you've heard of the story. The singer Chris Cornell, who is like a king among men. This guy looks just, he's a pretty man, let's just say. He's a good-looking man. And he sings, he's just like, he's an incredible talent, right? Huh? He's just cute, she said, yeah. And if you watch interviews, he's kind and he's sweet and he has children and his wife loves him and he makes killer music, good music, let's say. At least for my generation, can handle it or like that kind of stuff. But, so Soundgarden got back together and, if you don't know, they're like a grunge band out of Seattle from the 90s, that whole scene back then. And a lot of those guys are dead, either drug overdose or suicide or something, And the story is with him that he was found in his bathroom. He'd taken his own life. And, what made it eerie and odd, and there's video footage of it, and it's haunting and disturbing, really. But during the last song of his last performance, and he had the night of, just hours, 1 or 2 hours before he actually took his own life, he added, which he used to do quite a bit, he would add a phrase of another song into like an extended version of a song. Well, he adds a phrase from Led Zeppelin, "In My Time of Dying." Now, if you aren't familiar with it, the phrase is, the one that really stands out to me is, "If my wings should fail me, Lord, please meet me with another prayer. In my time of dying, Jesus is going to make up my dying bed so I can die easy." And he's dead just a short time later. It's a little odd. It's a little strange. He had added that to his lyric before, and I'll just kind of peel back my heart a little bit. So this song I was a Zeppelin fan. We listened to a lot of Zeppelin, and this song, those lyrics, I remember listening to that song when I was trying to find my way after being woken up to the spiritual world. That song brought incredible comfort to me. As morbid as it might sound to you, it's actually an old gospel song. But for me, it was like, oh man, yes, Jesus, my dying bed. Yeah, and it brought a sense of comfort, And it's like, yes, if my wings fail me, meet me with another. I can't do this, God. I need help. So I'm seeing him singing these lyrics, and I'm thinking about my past life and how much those kinds of songs meant to me. People ask me, well, how'd you find this message? I'm like, well, it sounds, what's the word? I don't know. Personalized revelation or revelatory, I don't know. But people ask me, I'm like, Jesus taught me. Because my experience was not church, didn't have a Bible, had this experience, became aware of Jesus, and was so comforted when I would think about him. And I had no clue that what he was doing to me was actually revealing his true character. My experience with Jesus for the first 5 years, coming out of crazy substance abuse and still not living very well in college, was that when I was aware of Jesus, I felt better. And thinking back now, and I didn't realize this because he didn't try to teach me or tell me things, but my experience with that presence was not condemning, ever. Not one time did I ever feel like he was angry with me or upset with me or disappointed in me. All I knew is that the more I was aware of him, the better life was. As simple as that can be. People don't know that. What people know of Jesus is the rules and the laws that the church has given them. Not bashing the church, just saying we're not using love as our motivation in many ways. So I remember during this time, I would hear something like, one of their songs, Nobody's Fault But Mine. Got a monkey on my back, nobody's fault but mine. Anybody know that song? You hear anyway. That's where I got the theology that God is not creating tests for you. You got yourself in this position, and that's Proverbs. I think Angie posted that proverb this week. We make messes of our lives and then get mad at God. No, we get ourselves in these messes. God is not crafting tests as we are traditionally taught to see if you'll pass it to get a cookie from heaven or whatever, So I'm just thinking about all this, and I'm thinking about people, and I post this thing on Facebook, and it really resonates, and all these old friends from high school start commenting, and it was just kind of a thing to get out, but it touched people, and I start thinking, you know what? There are people around us that they don't know Jesus, they don't know God, they don't know the gospel. What if somebody would have stepped into my life and said something or offered me something? How much of a difference would that have made in my life? But then I started thinking about his path and his journey. Here is a man that has millions of dollars, a loving marriage, beautiful children, just got his band back together. I mean, he's on a mission from God, Maybe that's another band, sorry. Any Blues Brothers? Yeah. All right. Getting the band back together. But he's got everything going for him. And he goes and he takes his own life. Now, there's another part of the story. And his wife is now coming out, and she said that she talked to him after the show, and he was slurring his words, and he said, well, yeah, I think I may have accidentally taken an extra Ativan or two, and which Ativan is, from what I read, is anxiety medicine, or you take it to alleviate substance abuse detox withdrawals. So something was going on where he had this in his system, and one of the side effects of Ativan or Ativan overdose is suicidal thoughts or tendencies. So she thinks it was accidental. Can you imagine? I mean, whether it was intentional or a chemically induced response, how tragic. So I'm going to kind of veer a little bit into another thing that's on my heart. And hear me, okay? You guys know I'm not, this is not from a condemning place, but prescription drug use is it's a cancer on the planet, especially in America. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying quit your meds. I don't understand what your doctor understands and is leading you to. But what I do wonder is, how much of that stuff do you need? These are just my thoughts, okay? Take them for what you want. How much of that stuff do you actually need? How much of that stuff could you come off of if you learned, even just this process that we did right after worship, you just learned to meditate on God's truth and change the reality of your inner world to match God's truth. And you start letting yourself be influenced by a real life source that brings real peace, not just modifies your emotions chemically so that you feel differently. You know what I mean? And if you need them, use them. I am not, this is not a condemnation of prescription drugs. But I just wonder, do your own soul searching. Talk to your doctor. See, am I using this as an idol? Am I using this as a substitute for the power of God in my life? No condemnation, not trying to say you're doing it wrong, but are you trusting God? When you think about the issue, do you go to God first or you go to the bottle first? Whatever kind of bottle that might be, right? Because there's a way of living with God under His influence that is just so satisfying. It leaves you whole. To the degree where, like Jesus, I don't even want to eat. I'm so full right now.